Hello everyone, my name is Danny. This review is for the movie called Suspiria. This is a 2018 film. It is rated R. It runs 2.5 hours. You gotta be invested to watch this thing. It stars Chloe Grace Moretz, Tilda Swinton, Doris Hick. I'm not gonna say half these names correctly. Malgorzata Bela, Dakota Johnson, Angela Winkler, and a bunch of other people. Can't say anybody below there you would actually know. So the summarization is oh, sorry. There it is. A darkness swirls at the center of a world-renowned dance company, one that will engulf the artistic director, an ambitious young dancer, and a grieving psychotherapist. Some will succumb to the nightmare, others will finally wake up. This is Suspiria. Well, I have lots to say about this movie. I don't know if I'll say all of it, but there's lots to be said if one were to decide to say all of it. First things first is this is a weird freaking movie, dude. Weird. I was trying to think out what else I could compare it to, so I have a couple things up here. I will get to those in a little while, though. I was trying to. I don't even know where it's at. Somewhere in here I have the movie called The Green Inferno. That's really the only thing I can compare it to in the weirdness department. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, whoa, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. But it's not to the level of Green Inferno, so I didn't put that up here for the comparison movies. But like Green Inferno is like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. The first time I watched it, I didn't even know what was coming, and I was shocked to all heck. But if you haven't seen that movie, you want to prepare yourself to watch it. Go for it. I dare you. So this one is on a weirdness level because it's in another country. You don't really know what's going on half the time. The parts you do know what's going on, you know something's happening, but you don't really know what's doing what, and it's really hard to follow, to be honest with you. But that's why it's weird, because you know something's going on, but you can't explain it. That's like the weirdest part of it. So I'll get to these up here in a second. The first one I have up there is called Crimson Peak. I don't know if any of you have heard of it or watched it, but I highly suggest watching it. That's why I own it. It's a mystery. It has to deal with some weird stuff. That's all I can say to you, because that's what I can compare it to with Suspiria here. The thing that Suspiria could have done to be more like Crimson Peak, and I would have liked it more, is Crimson Peak has to deal with just the mystery. They don't have a bunch of gore. They don't have a bunch of, really even killing that much. It's just a really pure mystery. And I think this movie has a good mystery on its hands. I really do. And Suspiria. And I think if they could have stuck to it and they could have been a little bit more committed to it instead of having all these unnecessary scenes and making the movie 2.5 hours, it would have been a lot more interesting. It would have kept us tied in a lot more. And I just would have appreciated it more. The other one I have up there is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Don't know how many people actually like that movie. I know it's kind of a flop, honestly, for most people. But I really enjoyed it because it was something different. It gave you a breath of fresh air. You got to sit back and enjoy it. You got a bunch of zombies. And that's kind of the experience I had with Suspiria a little bit for a while. Was I was just sitting back and enjoying how creative they were being. I haven't seen some of the things that they have in this movie before. Some I have. But they were pretty original with at least two things, and it really keeps me from having it at a certain grade while I'm watching this stuff and being impressed that I've got to raise the grade up a little bit while I'm watching it, you know? So keep more movies like Pride and Prejudice coming, be more original like Suspiria is trying to be. Those are the kind of things that we want to watch. Those are the kind of things that we want to see in movies. So, getting to the other parts of Suspiria, I think the length really does hurt it. Can't tell you how I was able to watch this movie and why it was the way it was, but I couldn't get the subtitles working for the German scenes, so I just had to kind of sit through those and kind of assume I know what they're kind of talking about, read their body language, kind of read the scene and the emotions, you know. But I might rewatch this someday in a different format just to be able to see what was happening in those scenes, see if I missed anything. But other than that, I don't think it was very necessary. I did watch the 2.5 hours. I got a pretty good glimpse of what was happening and what ended up happening. So I don't think it was all that important. But I don't know if that's what the movie meant to do in all formats or if it's just the format I was watching. So, the end result of all that is that I don't think it was really necessary for me to know what was going on in those German speaking scenes. I don't think I needed subtitles. I didn't really want them. And I was able to just be more invested in the movie, anyways, you know, kind of trying to have to really focus on what was going on, trying to figure out what was going on since I couldn't understand anybody, you know. But they have a lot of background music, soundtrack, whatever you want to call it, and that all helps with the mood and everything. And I think that is the biggest help for you to figure out what's going on. But in the end of things, in this long movie, there's a lot of things that happen, and they are some original killings that go on. But I don't understand really what I watched, and I think that's going to be my final result here is that this movie does not explain itself, and it's really hard to figure out as a movie viewer what the movie is trying to say, who's involved. You hear a couple names over and over again, but you don't really know if they're the leader or if they're a spirit or if the things that are actually happening really happened at all. It suggests that people have some kind of control, but then you don't know because later they act like they didn't even remember that happening or nothing. It's a really weird movie, really strange movie. Might have to watch a explanation video on YouTube about this just to understand what the heck I just watched. And I think that's really gonna hurt it. I don't think too many people are gonna be really invested in this movie enough to really care. But I am gonna try and at least watch an explanation video of it because I want to know what happened, like what this meant and that meant, and try and get a little bit of a grasp on this. But otherwise, it's a hard movie to connect to. I do want to say good job on the dancing stuff. This is about a dance company, and that's kind of what keeps it founded and what kept me interested instead of falling asleep. I appreciate the dancing, the training, the hard work. In that way, it's like movies like Whiplash and stuff, you know, that you can watch their journey. But in the end of things, since this movie had a theme that was kind of supernatural, the dancing ended up being a little irrelevant. Sorry. Gotta have my Kleenex nearby, and this season starting to warm up. And but yeah, the dancing story is nice to watch and nice to go along with her training and stuff. This new girl, but in the end, since the movie is supposed to be supernatural, everything kind of ends up being irrelevant in that manner. So that kind of takes that feeling away of, you know, oh, I really wish they would have completed or made the dancing story matter more, you know, because I was actually enjoying that. So I just watched this movie, but I've been thinking for about an hour what to grade it because it's really tough. You know, I mean, there's some really original stuff in here that I can suggest to you that you probably won't ever see it ever again. So watch it because of that. And the dancing's nice, and the characters seem to be knowing what they're doing. but the supernatural stuff is just so weird that there's really no explanation for it. So it's not quite one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I think that's what keeping me from giving it my worst grade. So I'll give it a C minus. But I don't want that to deter you. If you are really heard some great things about this, or if you've seen it and you really enjoy it, I actually understand why. I really do. I told myself when I woke up today I was going to watch Suspiria. I was going to be invested in it for 2.5 hours, and I did care for it in a way that I can't explain to you. And if you care for it, then I understand, and you don't need to explain it to me. So I would really like some opinions about this movie, though. If you have any suggestions or explanations for me, leave it in the comments. Otherwise, I have to give Suspiria a C minus. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and give some of them a watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy movies, guys. Thanks.